Hello and welcome back to the Halo series. My name is Douglas Brown, CEO at Halo Consulting. Today we are joined by Jennifer Murray, founder of Onboard Solutions, LLC. We appreciate you joining us today, Jennifer. How are you today?
Fantastic. Thank you for having me, Douglas.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're new to this event, Halo hosts monthly thought leadership roundtables covering current trends in the HR, tech, and DEI space. Don't forget to check out the Halo mini series, where we hear from executives taking a deep dive into a multi part series discussing what's keeping them up at night. If you've enjoyed this content, hit that like and subscribe button and be sure to visit Halo's LinkedIn page to subscribe to the Halo Content Hub, which summarizes current market trends and recaps past events. And that link can be found in the description. Throughout our session, we will cover overcoming onboarding challenges and ensuring success for new hires. Before we kick off the questions, let's get started with you, Jennifer. Can you share with our audience where you started your career and how it has evolved into starting your own firm, Onboard Solutions?
I would be happy to share that career journey with your listeners. I had the great fortune of starting my career with AT&T, and I say it was a great fortune because they poured into us with really strong training programs. My first job was 90 days of training, getting paid to learn the industry, learn the product line, learn how to sell over the phone. So it was a fantastic start to my career. I spent several years with both AT&T and Cisco Systems,
Hmm.
and both companies had strong training programs, leadership development programs, mentorship programs, and a lot of opportunity to move across the business and really learn different business functions. So I started with sales, moved on to sales leadership, employee development, program management, finance, amongst other business functions, which gave me a really well-rounded background to support small businesses, which is eventually what I moved into, working in an insurance broker's office in Cary, North Carolina, selling employee benefits and providing human resource services as our value add. We became the outsourced human resources team for many of our clients. And eventually, I moved away from benefits and just focused on human resource services for small businesses, trying to help them use their competitive advantages to recruit and retain and engage top talent. So that's what I do now at Onboard Solutions.
Well, it sounds like you've had a remarkable career journey, Jennifer. And it sounds like what you're involved in today is really rewarding. Can you touch on your experience as the VP of membership at the Raleigh Metro Society for Human Resource Management?
Sure, that is a voluntary role. It's a fantastic chapter that brings together human resources professionals primarily in the Triangle, but we offer a lot of hybrid programs and offer ongoing learning and development opportunities to human resource professionals and people that sell to human resource professionals. My role as Vice President of Membership is to engage new members and help them maximize the benefit of being a member. We have grown from under 700 members to over 810 members as
Wow.
of late.
Nice. Well, really great to hear you're giving back to the community and the other businesses in the greater Raleigh area. Um, let's go ahead and dive into our first question. From your experience, what are some common mistakes in the onboarding process that often lead to employees leaving an organization?
Let's focus on the top three that come to mind. Number one is lack of planning. Organizations need to build a plan on what it looks like as that new team member comes into the organization, the hour they walk in, and the hour that they leave for the day, 30 days thereafter, 60 days thereafter, 90 days thereafter. Number one, you need a plan. Number two, lack of internal communication. If you are in a human resources role and responsible for bringing that person in, does the hiring manager align with your plan? Do the other people that will be exposed to this new employee through job shadowing or mentoring understand what the plan is? Is everybody aware and prepared to welcome this new individual to the team? Number three, just a lack of effort and focus in building something meaningful. Many organizations use the term orientation as a period of time to fill out required paperwork, to set up payroll, to establish benefits, to adhere to government guidelines and requirements, and don't think through the simple tasks and programs they can build out to really engage that new team member so they feel like they're contributing to the greater good of the company and can stay for the long term.
Really appreciate that context, Jennifer. When we think of lack of planning, do you share with your clients like a 30, 60, 90-day plan for those new hires, or do you have something similar that you share with your clients?
We look at each organization. Industries are different, roles are different, size of companies vary. The 30, 60, 90 days looks differently for each organization, but the short answer is yes. We build out something appropriate for each organization.
The reason individuals join companies based on strong company culture and values, what best practices need to be in place to ensure new employees embody and demonstrate culture and values?
Both sides are looking for a match here, right? The hiring team is looking to match with the candidate is looking to match with the organization. So it needs to be a very honest discussion. It needs to be authentic in what you're saying about the organization is the same thing as what team members are saying and what individuals are posting online. All of those data points need to align. The other thing that can be helpful is pre-hire assessment tools to try to better identify the individuals that would fit with the culture.
When onboarding isn't clear, how does it affect turnover rates, and what can we do to make expectations more evident?
Turnover numbers vary by industry, organization, and roles. But if you are an organization that has the capability of measuring what your turnover is, and you're identifying that there is a trend of people who are leaving during the first week, during the first month, during the first 90 days, when we dig into the root cause, very typically it's isolated to the talent acquisition process, the onboarding process, or both. So setting expectations during the hiring process and then meeting those expectations is really important. And then ensuring that everyone that's involved in the hiring process is also meeting those expectations. In a recent SHRM article that I read, it indicated that they surveyed 2,000 new employees. They had just recently started a job. 47% of those said they were still open to new job offers. So they weren't completely committed. What does that say about the fit and the communication and expectations that were set? Something was out of alignment for nearly 50% of those people.
Yeah, that's a staggering percentage, and to think that for individuals that are starting a new job, they wouldn't necessarily be fully committed to their new role and their responsibilities. So to hear that 47% number is kind of eye opening, and makes you think that the onboarding process, the talent acquisition process could be improved across the board.
Exactly. Opportunity for improvement.
I like that. Jennifer, during onboarding, how can organizations identify signs of disengagement in new team members?
Believe it or not, a lot of organizations I've worked with have discovered that people that they've hired don't start on day one as expected. They don't show up, they don't call. So that would be one indicator that they're disengaged right out of the gate. If they start to come in on time, great. Are they completing the tasks that you've laid out in their onboarding program? Great. Are they actively participating and beginning to formulate relationships with their team members? Great. I would also suggest that the managers have an important role here in engaging the new individuals and ensuring that they are set up for success and understand the importance of their role and are asking for feedback. This is not a set and forget type of relationship, regardless of where they're working. If they're in the office or working remotely, it's really critical to have frequent check-ins and touch points to make sure that that new individual is feeling really good and engaged in their new role.
Yeah, I like that. Having the frequent check-ins and touch points from your manager or others a part of the function to feel engaged and welcomed. How does the shift to a remote or hybrid culture change the signs of disengagement?
It puts more of a focus on the manager and potentially having a buddy system, potentially having a mentoring program, adding resources that will actively engage, because some individuals are less likely to raise their hand and ask for help and may need help and just need to be asked what they need. So working remotely requires a more assertive behavior for the people that are already on the team.
Yeah, one of the clients that we work with, Jennifer, and you made a good point, having the buddy system or some sort of mentor system set up. It typically runs from 6 months to as long as a year. So going back to what you said, that is something that we've seen with some of the clients that we've partnered with in the past as well.
Yes, and think about an individual might not want to bother his or her manager with little questions, but establishing that comfortable relationship with a buddy can reduce that anxiety and make it very easy to rectify situations that they might otherwise muddle through.
Mm-hmm. From your experience, Jennifer, in what ways can HR harness technology and digital tools to enhance the onboarding process and rectify potential missteps?
We are working with multiple clients right now who have a payroll system that has huge capabilities to automate the process of onboarding. And they're not tapping into that. There are organizations that don't have a lot of resources and perhaps haven't explored all of the capabilities of their investment. And when we look at how they're doing business and how they can leverage this technology without spending any additional money, it's a huge win. So that's the first example of leveraging technology. If you have an HRIS system, it's likely that it can do much more than payroll to automate and improve the employee onboarding experience. Another example is a lot of organizations are using Slack now, and Slack is a quick communication vehicle that also alerts the whole team when a new team member joins, and everyone is encouraged in most organizations to reach out to that new team member, say hello, establish a connection. That has been very helpful in increasing engagement.
For new founders out there today who are building their team, do you recommend any software or platforms from the clients that you're working with today, Jennifer?
It's very specific to the organization. So do I make recommendations? Absolutely. But first we have to look at how they're doing business, what their requirements are, and where they want to go before we can come up with the top 3 potential solutions to help them bring their game up to the next notch.
So it sounds like it's more of a case by case scenario. If if I was a startup in the financial services industry, say we had 30 employees and we were experiencing some high growth, do you have 3 softwares that you can name that someone like myself should look into?
It depends on what you want to do with that software. Are you ready to put a performance management program in place, or do you anticipate that, or do you already have something going on over here? What other tools are you using that we might want to integrate into this system? So that helps us determine what the right solutions may be.
So it sounds like there are some follow-up questions that need probing and really in order to really understand what capabilities and solutions are out there for someone who's a newly founder and growing their team.
Absolutely. Yes.
Jennifer, are there any success stories or examples of onboarding approaches that have been effective and have boosted employee engagement?
If we look at those top 3 areas that I discussed earlier, I can go back to numerous organizations that had a paper-based process, that didn't have any kind of plan, didn't set expectations with the other team members that may be responsible for a job shadow experience, as an example, and putting some structure in place, automating the experience through the payroll system or human resource information system, creating meaningful foundational training elements, creating structure around the job shadow experience, aligning with a buddy system. These are the things that have helped differentiate an organization from the old way of doing business to the new way of early employee engagement and ongoing employee development.
And for the clients that you work with today, does it span the gamut from financial services to manufacturing to high tech, or are there specific industries of clients that you focus in and engage with?
I've had experience over the years with a broad range, primarily manufacturing, construction, professional services, high tech. But the problems that they experience are consistent. They're all looking to attract the best talent. They are all looking to have strong onboarding experiences so they reduce turnover. They're all looking to increase employee engagement and lengthen the employee journey.
And from your experience, Jennifer, is your process of coming in and putting a process in place for the planning, improving the internal communication, and really building something that's meaningful, like the buddy program, the job shadow experience, etc. Is what you do a one-time thing where you come in and you improve the process across the board, or is it something where you're continuously engaged over the course of 6 to 12 months? Is it a check-in once a quarter? What does that look like on your end?
Each organization I've worked with started with a basic need. They had a turnover problem. They had an antiquated onboarding program. They had a huge issue trying to attract job applicants. That is generally our starting point. The other organizations I've worked with are startups that need to establish a foundation so they're on solid ground before they start really growing. Once we complete the initial engagement to address one of those areas of interest, it generally evolves to additional projects to help with those other elements.
Great, thanks for sharing that context. What methods can HR teams employ to gather feedback from new hires about their onboarding experiences, and how can they use that feedback to improve the overall process?
Douglas, I think you'd be surprised at how many organizations are not taking advantage of the simple opportunity to ask for feedback. So if we start with an onboarding survey, that would be fantastic data to collect so that we can continuously improve. The next thing is stay interviews, asking long-term or current team members why they're staying, what they love about the organization, if they're considering a move to another organization. Capture that data while you have team members in place as in an effort to retain them. And then finally, a lot of organizations are not conducting exit interviews. This is fantastic data to collect so that you can improve things and address some of those concerns to reduce future turnover.
For those HR leaders that are not using a feedback system today, those three kind of solutions that Jennifer just shared are simple to implement. Number one, asking for feedback. So onboarding surveys to continuously improve. Number two, stay interviews, asking long-term team members why they're staying and having the ability to capture that and share that across the organization. And it could make sense to ask them to do like a Glassdoor review. And then the third point was exit interviews. So really appreciate you sharing those 3 points, Jennifer. As we wrap up with our final questions, who should reach out to you and why? And what's the best way to contact you or get in touch with our audience?
Any organization that is struggling to attract the right applicants may need to reevaluate their talent acquisition system. I can help with that. Organizations that feel like they need a stronger onboarding program to help to prepare new team members for their roles, we can help with that. And thirdly, any organization that feels like engagement is low or has high turnover, we have a huge range of solutions to help in those areas as well. We'll get to the root cause, we'll come up with a plan, and we'll put some insurance policies in place so that the employee journey can lengthen. How to get in touch with me? Jennifer at onboardwithus.com. I'm also on LinkedIn.
Great, thanks, Jennifer. And then, is there anything you'd like to share or talk about in terms of the work you're doing today at Onboard Solutions, or anything personally?
Recent trends have been interest in putting performance improvement plans and performance management plans in place. This becomes an opportunity to not only give feedback throughout the year, record it on a more regular basis, help team members develop and move through the company in different roles. Another trend has been maximizing the power of the human resource information system that's in place, or the payroll system that's in place, which saves the organization time, reduces costs because there's no additional investment and you're getting more out of what you have in place, and it improves the employee experience. Those are the top two things that come to mind, Douglas.
Great. And Jennifer, we really appreciate you joining us today and sharing your insight. Continue the great work in the HR space, and we look forward to staying connected moving forward.
Thank you.